Gather around, Skull Brothers and Sisters. This is Minnesota Sports Talk, presenting Under the Lights with your hosts, Justin and Dave, next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull Brothers and Sisters. This is Under the Lights, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I brought the man, the guy I cheated off in math class all the way from California in studio. No, we don't have a studio. But hey, we got Luke Braun in the house. And of course, my hostess with the mostest, Justin Day from Purple and Gold for Days. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment below on both of our channels, Minnesota Sports Talk, Purple and Gold for Days. Luke, what's up? How you been, man?
Hey, doing pretty good. It is a restful time for me right now. May, not much going on. Draft is over. It's time to start cooking again, you know?
When do you start doing your writing up again? I know the last time I talked to you, you said you take some time off of that.
Probably won't. I think I've transitioned fully to video.
Breaking news on Under the Lights.
Breaking news. There we go. That's
Luke has retired from writing.
That was a choice that I made in the middle of the season. I was kind of like, I just, writing versus just talking. Like, it's very clear that I enjoy one more,
I tried to blog last year. 2 years ago, I tried to blog, and I just I can't keep up with it, man. I can't keep up with it. Let's give a few shout outs. We got Davey. Oh, Davey 2 Chains. We got again. Skull Zone, what's up, man? And Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mary Fisk. Love it when you show up. And Drop Shot Jake.
What's up, Drop?
No, we just we just recently had the draft, obviously, and we got the rookie mini camp. But I want to get your thoughts about the draft. What were some of your highlights out of the draft? Like good value. I know you're a guy about value, and you really look into that. So, what are some your highlights of that draft?
I mean, I'll probably be basic about it. My favorite pick's probably Addison. I really liked Addison. He was my second favorite receiver in the whole draft going in. So when I had a live stream up for the draft, you can go see my reaction. I was sitting there with 2 picks to go before the Vikings, and there were about 6 players that I really liked. So I was like, okay, this fell well for us. I wanted them to trade back. They ended up not doing it. But after that, I guess I was like, okay, Joey Porter's my dream here. If you could get him. But Addison would be super great. And then they take Addison. He was my favorite receiver. He was the only receiver left on the board that I had a first round grade on. I really like the way that he slots into a Sean McVay style zone defense. The sorts of assignments you get as the Z receiver are, I think, really well suited to his skill set. Happy to go in more depth on him too if you want, but I'll also shout out. Jaren Hall was kind of my guy. He was I had a 3rd round on him, and they got him in the 5th. So I was really, really excited to get him where they got him. He is somebody, if you really wanted to be irresponsible, you could maybe say that is a guy who, let's say they let Kirk walk, they draft a rookie in 2024. Let's say they trade up or they, draft really high and they take a rookie, but that rookie maybe isn't ready to play right away, or you're not sure if he'll be ready to play right away. I think Jaren Hall is a good foil to that, where you'll have a situation like Andy Dalton and Bryce Young in Carolina, where Andy Dalton's the backup, but he's going to take first team reps in camp, and you kind of need that guy to be at least a little bit serious. And I personally thought Jaren Hall sort of crossed that threshold. I don't know if the NFL agrees with me because he fell all the way to the 5th round, where you usually wouldn't find that guy. But I think he's a perfect fit for a McVay offense. I think he's a lot more talented than you usually find in the 5th round. So I really liked the Jaren Hall pick.
Yeah. When we picked, we had 2 picks in the 5th round, I think, right? Or did we have 2?
Yeah, the other traded up. Right.
Yeah, so when we got 2 picks, I was like, this is where we're gonna get a quarterback, and there's only one guy left on the board that I liked. I probably had him around the 7th, ranked 7th, maybe out of all the quarterbacks, and I think he went 11th, maybe. I think so. He actually
I had him 5th. I love that dude.
Yeah, I said as high as 5th, but I always dock people for height, and I unfortunately.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm barely 6 foot myself, so I don't know, and I can't imagine seeing over 6'5" linemen, so I dock everybody that's 6'2" or under.
Yeah,
but
the thing you want to see with a short quarterback, and you like Bryce Young is the god of this, which is why totally like him being short is not a problem for me. Is you want to see him reset his spot in the pocket, because what you're really looking for is a throwing lane, right? If you're not tall enough to get it over guys, you're going to get every ball batted if you don't find a throwing lane. So you don't want a short statue. You want a short, not a scrambler necessarily, right? You don't need it to be. Bryce Young does plenty of that too, and so does Jaron Hall. But you just want somebody who can like adjust their launch point with a purpose to find that throwing lane. And then that's kind of how, like, that's how Russell Wilson always did it. That's how Breeze always did it. That's kind of how short quarterbacks can go. But that's like kind of a prerequisite when you don't have the height to like see and throw over the line.
This might be a shocker, but someone is watching you for the first time. Skull Zone, you haven't met Luke, you haven't seen Luke Braun? Luke Braun, tell us where they can find you, man.
Sure. Yeah, you can find Locked On Vikings is the podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to audio. You can find it on YouTube. You can also find my Patreon, patreon.com/Luke Braun NFL.
It's also in the description on my page, and I just put the link in the chat as well for anybody else who's needing to find that link. It's in the chat as well. What's up, Jade? How you doing? No, I'm with you on Jaron Hall. I'm not going to. I've got to temper my enthusiasm a little bit. I think it's a lofty expectation to think that he's just redshirt freshman year, sit behind Kirk Cousins, and he's 100% ready to be the starter on his way to being a franchise quarterback. But I like the tools that he has, and I like that. I agree with you. I think he's a really good fit for the McVay/O'Connell offense, and I think it's going to do wonders. I think his personality meshes well with Kirk, both being family guys, and probably have some commonalities there to talk about besides football. But at the same time, again, yes, I was of course praying and hoping, knowing that it wasn't going to happen, that you could get a guy like a Bryce Young or an Anthony Richardson. But with how it turned out, I'm really excited for this kid. I really am.
It does seem like with the talk after the draft and kind of recently, actually, is that we were looking to go get Bryce Young if he fell. Does that kind of look like a dress rehearsal for next year? Do you feel that way, or do you feel like, hey, we're satisfied with Jaron Hall?
I can say that assuming the Bryce Young rumor is true, which I can't imagine a team not liking him. And I know they liked Anthony Richardson a lot as well. I think they were willing to they were being way more aggressive than I think a lot of people know, trying to get up. It didn't pan out. But that's kind of the thing about the draft, is you can really, really, really want something, but not get it. But that doesn't mean you didn't want it. So yeah, it's clear that they're trying to find life after Kirk Cousins. They're not going to rush into that. They're not going to throw Kirk Cousins to the curb and live without a quarterback for however long that takes, but they're trying to find life after Kirk Cousins, and they don't have tunnel vision on that. They understand that there's a lot of different guys out there, a lot of different ways to find that. But that's, I think, priority one from here on out in the offseason is what is the quarterback situation. Let's have Kwesi actually have a guy that he picked, not a guy he inherited.
Few more shout outs. Dylan Dotson, what's up? Drop Shot Jake. A person we haven't seen in a while, Jade from Sports and Stars with Jade. We miss you. I can't wait till the season starts. We start seeing you every day.
Yeah, that day, by the way, Jade. Great show.
Sarah, what's up? Not giving any cards away.
Yeah, we have no giveaways today, Sarah.
No giveaways, but I plan on making patches, so I'll start sharing those with you guys. Doug, great to have you, man. Norsefius, I still love this name.
Goodness.
Awesome. Thanks for showing up. That's a good one. Yeah, we got a few. They came to see you because of the thumbnail, man.
This is the greatest Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat handle of all time. Put it up there, Davey. Put it up.
Which one is it?
My worthless opinion.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, didn't catch up. My worthless opinion, because his opinions are not always worthless, so they're pretty good, man. Right, and we got Anthony.
What's up, Anthony?
What's up, Skull? Let's go. Now, what did you feel like the running back McBride at the 7th pick also was like, hey, it was just too good a value to pass up, or where did you have him?
I had him taking a running back at some point, although I didn't really rank the running backs that seriously. I watched a few of them, but I did not watch McBride before the draft. So I didn't really have a take on the day. I've managed to get a little bit of him. I'm trying to get more. It's really hard to find Conference USA tape. So I'm trying to find more. But from what I have seen, I really like. I think he's really good at making people miss tackles. Like the stats show that, the film shows that he's really, really good at that stuff. And the problem with him, he didn't test, which is always going to be a harm to your draft stock because there's just certain unknowns and teams are going to be scared of unknowns. But also he wasn't involved in the pass game at all. So I think a lot of teams are going to look at him and see, oh, this is like a rundown only guy, like a third and short back, a goal line only back kind of guy. But in play action situations at UAB, this is a 2021 game I saw. Oh yeah, he's got a fumble thing too. Somebody said in the chat said,
yeah.
So that's also a
he
concern.
fumbles. I think he had 5 last year, but
that's a lot. Yeah, it's rough. But the in the pass game, he just didn't get a lot of receiving yardage, but he was blocking a lot. And also UAB had a quarterback that just did not check down. That just was not like the way that the progressions worked, which is more of a UAB problem than a running back specific skill set problem or whatever. So I think that's why he was, that's why they were still comfortable enough to draft him. But if you watch him actually block in pass protection, there's actually a lot to like there too. So it might just be, they just kept him in to block a lot because the UAB offensive line is a catastrophe. They look like a JV unit out there. It was really, really rough. I mean, I watched him against Georgia, so maybe that might be we'll see. But no, let me find another.
Yeah, I watched the LSU tape, and every touch he did on the LSU tape, not any blocking or anything, but he actually caught a pass and he looked good doing it. Didn't fall on his ass, so that was neat. And then he actually got caught behind the line of scrimmage quite a bit, but was able to get to the line of scrimmage and fight for yards, and then he had a walk-in touchdown against them, which was vision. So it was pretty good, even though he didn't have that many yards. It wasn't a big game for him, like 60 yards, whatever. But he kind of showed you he could play with the big boys.
Yeah, I kind of coined him.
Didn't see the Georgia game though.
He's got the spin move of Chuck Foreman in the hands of Adrian Peterson. So hopefully we can find somewhere in the middle. But jokes aside,
is it a drops issue or?
I don't know.
I think it's an attempts issue. I think he's only had 10 catches.
I think he's probably been thrown 11 times.
I think it's 5 catches and 10 targets his entire college career. 10 targets and 5 catches.
Yeah, just nothing. So what you do is you bring. They probably already did it this week and weekend. You bring him in for rookie minicamp and you throw him 10 passes and see how he looks and how it feels.
Great transition. What have you seen coming out of rookie minicamp?
You can never really get much. I was gonna do a show on it because it's such good clickbait because everybody wants to
do it right now.
But I don't know, man. They did drills in shorts and you don't even get a depth chart because there's a whole bunch of tryouts there. They did sign a couple tryouts. They signed a fullback, a backup fullback, which you need a fullback for the 2s and the 3s. So you don't wear CJ Ham out in camp. And then they signed another O lineman, which I think numbers wise, they needed another one to fill out the 3s. So yeah, they are. It's fine. The rookie minicamp is just an install and a teaching time. You don't really get a lot evaluatively from it. But hey, it's cool to see time ramped videos of our exciting new rookies in purple for the first time.
You almost feel like you're cheating your viewers if you put out content with stuff. It's just like, okay, Addison was running against air, and you could see his footwork really, really well. And Hall, the quarterback, was throwing against air, and he hit a guy right in stride. I mean, it's like, okay, I know we're all starving for stuff because it's the off season, but it's just really kind of like you said, it's like going to second grade for crying out loud.
Here's something you can watch with Addison. I'll give you something real. So there was a video that the Vikings posted. You can find it on their Twitter of him just doing a quick little drill, and he's just doing just breaking a route off 90 degrees, and you can see if you watch just his hips and watch if his body starts moving horizontally before his hips turn that way, and it does. That's a really good thing. That's something you really want to see out of wide receivers. There's like a torque and a flexibility to that you need.
Is that the oily hips?
Oily hips.
I don't know about oily. It's deceptive because that's what corners will look at. When you're a corner, you're looking at the hips, and the hips don't lie. That's Shakira. That's what they teach corners.
Don't.
Sorry.
Exactly. Eyes will lie. Receivers will look all over the place. They'll head fake. The head lies. Don't look at the head. Look at the hips. The hips don't lie. But if your hips do lie, you can really weaponize that as a wide receiver. So that's what you're looking for. And in the NFL, you see a lot more of that.
We should have had a soundboard put together before the show. We could have Shakira in the back row while you're doing that. But as far as Addison goes, does his size concern you? I mean, that's the topic du jour about how well he's going to be able to translate in the NFL at being only 172 pounds with pads on. I know he's 6 feet, so he's not, a 5'8", 5'9", like a Percy Harvin type or, Tyreek Hill, whatever. But does his size give you any concern at all or pause?
It's more the slightness and the physicality. It's a thing. I mean, it's not going to be like a career ruining. It's not like there's this risk that he's never going to be big enough to make plays. He'll make plays, but it'll get him on reps sometimes. He'll get caught. He'll get caught up on more physical corners. He'll have to go around guys rather than going through them. When you have him in blocking in the run game, that's becomes a huge problem. I mean, it's really, really ugly blocking tape. So that's something that he'll probably have to learn how to do from scratch. One thing he did at USC, and you could tell they were having him do this, was instead of actually going and hitting, which is when you're a small receiver, a lot of times just go throw yourself at a guy, right? You're not going to set up and do a perfect like technique block like you're a guard. Just throw yourself at a dude. Just go be physical. But he would actually like try to strafe and try to really like set up a good seal and like really play it. And I think you can just be a little bit more YOLO about it. Just be a little bit just play, be a little less thinky about it. Cause then he would sit there and he would like set up a good base, but he's tiny and he would just get bowled over. And so, you just teach him like be the hammer, not the nail. That can help make him a better blocker, but I don't think he's ever going to be like a good blocker. I saw Jade asking in the chat, like, is he going to be wide receiver 2 or will it be KJ? And there's of course going to be rotation. Like when you're in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, you have Justin Jefferson, and then I think KJ is probably a better receiver in those personnel packages because there's going to be a lot of blocking, and KJ is just going to be a better blocker. But once you get to 11 personnel, then I would probably imagine, you'll have both KJ and Addison out there, but Addison might get a little bit more run from those more pass-heavy formations, might, play the Z a little bit more often instead of the F or whatever, and be earlier in the progressions and stuff. We could probably look at snap counts or target counts or whatever by the end of the season and say one guy was 2 and one guy was 3, but they're going to play different roles.
What's up, Billings Breakout? Thanks for joining the show. I don't think we've seen him before. Is he one of your guys?
I'm trying to remember if I I've seen Billings once before. I can't remember if it was in Rap's channel or if it was with Vikings First and Scold. I can't remember, but thanks for joining, Billings. Appreciate you. If you haven't already subscribed to Minnesota Sports Talk or Purple and Gopher Days or Locked on Vikings, subscribe on the way out. And ladies and gentlemen, hit those like buttons on the way in. Wipe your feet at the door, as they say. But thanks for joining, Billings. Appreciate you.
Now, there was a couple guys. I picked out like 3 undrafted free agents, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on these guys, see if you had them on their radar. 2 of them were expected to get drafted. The third one maybe not. What's that?
We'll see if I have an opinion. Some guys are just like, I don't know.
We'll see. Andre Carter, tall, lanky, played for Army. They basically had a game plan against him and him only if they were going to. But I think there was the way they train in the Army compared to what he's going to be doing in the NFL. It could be a lot. He could have a lot of different results. So, do you have any opinion on like Carter or Pace or Knowles? I'll give you.
So you don't. Yeah, I don't know Malik Knowles at all. Right. So I'll have to defer to someone else on him. But the other 2 guys, Ivan Pace he's smart. linebacker. But I think he's like a little bit more limited in coverage, and he was more of a blitzer and stuff at Cincinnati. I think the reason he went undrafted is, if I recall, he's a little smaller, right?
Yeah, he's 5'10".
And if you're a smaller linebacker and you aren't offering like a big, like the reason like Chaz Surratt got drafted, he was smaller, but he played really well in coverage. So, okay, you can be a coverage linebacker. And that's what Adam Zimmer like really thought he was getting there. If you can't get either of those things, it's like, what do you do here? So I think that's why he fell out of the draft ultimately. But that linebacker room is really wide open. Like you got to be like Troy Dye, who is also small. So I think Ivan Pace can absolutely make the team. He'll probably start on the threes and have to work his way up. You'll have to see some special teams, because once you're linebacker 3 or 4, you're not getting in from scrimmage. You got to make you got to earn your keep somewhere else. So it'll come down to special teams, I think, more than most fans really think about. But that room's wide open. He could make it. And then with Andre Carter, I see Andre Carter as a guy who just needs to be locked in a shed with a Bowflex for a year. And
yeah, me too.
He can come out. So his whole deal at Army, because like when you're in the Army, you can't bulk up the way that football teams really need you to bulk up. It's they have you do a lot more cardio. They have you do, like the regimen of workouts and stuff is way different. So he just wasn't going to have the right kind of body. You can see it. I flipped on his tape, and like 8 plays in, I saw a tight end blast him into next week. And it's like, okay, I can't put that on my team right now. And that's why he didn't get drafted is in his current state, his current physicality. You can't put that on your team. But give him a year to bulk up and hope that he doesn't lose any of that quick twitch, because the bigger you are, the slower you get. And we've seen a lot of examples of players changing their body type, and then athleticism just going out the window. Like Jalen Twyman, he bulked up a ton in the COVID year. He took the COVID year off to basically just hit the weight room, bulked up a ton, bulked up too much. And so he bombed all his drills, slimmed back down. But once he slimmed back down, the athleticism was never the same. That it happens when your natural body, like where your body naturally lands as you grow up and you go through puberty and all that stuff. If you change that, then try to change back, it might not be the same. So that's the sort of what we're watching with Andre Carter. But my guess is that he's going to start with like the 4s, do one-on-ones against like Jackie Chen or whatever. They like their soldiers lean and not muscle freaks. So we got to make him a muscle freak, and he wants to be a muscle freak. He's excited to go be a muscle freak. But that's going to take a year, and he's not a rosterable player in the meantime, I don't think. And that's okay. Just put him on the scout team. Let him, learn some stuff about the defense. Let him live in the weight room. Let him bulk up. Let him eat a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. And then we'll try this again next year. There's a lot of people saying like, oh, but he's going to get poached. But they spent so much on his signing bonus and all that stuff. That
was the exact follow-up question I was going to have. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's a really meager 300K is nothing. All right, they just spent 4 times that on the Zadarius Smith trade, and and people are like, oh, that's not that much. Like 300K is nothing. It doesn't matter. But also, if someone wants to put what I saw on tape, which is, if somebody wants to put an edge rusher that gets blasted by everyone's tight end and just gives the offense a huge advantage that way, like if you want to put that on your 53-man roster, I say go for it. That's not an asset that I'm not willing to spend a roster spot on him. And if another team is willing to spend a roster spot on him, then they can have him. That's fine.
We've got a couple of fellow content creators in Rap and East Coast Gridiron that are in a bit of a arm wrestling match over Ivan Pace. They have a decent-sized gentleman's bet as to whether he makes the roster or not. That's how high one of them is, and that's how low the other one is. They put a honeybee on the bad boy. So what are your thoughts on Pace? What are your early projections? Do you think he's, as long as he doesn't completely bomb, that he's guaranteed a roster spot? Well, what are your thoughts on Ivan Pace?
Maybe add some context, too, because Flores is like a blitzing, aggressive, and Pace is like Mr. Blitz. So, talk about that.
So Flores cares a lot about if you can get off a block. He also will blitz aggressively, but when it comes to linebackers, you can point anyone and shoot them, As long as they have a brain and they know their letters between A, B, and C, you can point them at a gap and shoot them, right? You don't even need to know the whole alphabet. You just need to get up to like D, I guess. But like that will that I don't think will be a differentiating factor. Like who is he competing with? Troy Dye and Troy Reeder probably, and then Will Huber, the other
That's why he
Cincinnati
picked
linebacker,
us.
I guess.
Our linebacking core is why he picked us.
That's not a bad reason. But like Troy Reeder, the coaches have a high, like Kevin O'Connell was on the Rams and when Troy Reeder was a starter and that team won the Super Bowl. Like he's going to have a high opinion of Troy Reeder, but Troy Reeder I think is mostly going to be special teams guy. And Troy Dye has made the team for a couple of years now, basically only on special teams. So when you get to the bottom part of that roster, you are not like linebacker 4 might not necessarily be the 4th best linebacker from scrimmage. It's going to be the spot you use because Matt Daniels goes, this dude's a god on kickoffs. And if this dude's like a huge beast on kickoffs or on punts or blocking things, if he's a beast there, he's going to do more for your team. Ultimately, you can only dress 48 players, is it? And then like whatever your practice squad guys.
Yeah, I think it's 48,
if you can only dress 48 players a game, everybody who's putting on a jersey has to do something. You're not going to dress a guy and have him sit on the bench all day. And you only have so many spots that can just be, you know, your Luigi Villan inactive all day because nobody got hurt kind of role, or Vidarian Low, right? Because nobody got hurt.
Well,
so
that guy might be Jaron
something.
Hall too, because we can't put him on the practice squad, right? So we got to have 3.
That might be Jaron Hall.
Quarterback.
And if Jaron Hall wins the QB2 spot, then you just cut Nick Mullins and you're fine with that.
Yeah, you're looking to cut.
And I think that's the competition. So really, you're asking me to predict a special teams competition. I can't do that. I have no idea. But truly, I think the answer is we do not. I don't think that there's a pole position here that matters. I don't think that there's like he's guaranteed a roster spot unless he really screws up. No, he's got to beat Troy Dye and Troy Reeder for a spot. Can he do that? I don't know. He'll have every opportunity to.
So 50-50, you wouldn't lean more likely than not or less likely than not. You'd say square in the middle.
Yeah. My answer is I have no idea. Good luck on your bet.
Yeah,
that's why I'm not in that bet.
You did mention something great. You're great with transitions. Zadarius Smith. You talked about him and the money that we had to give up. Could you kind of break down after the dust settled what the trade entailed in our part of it?
Yeah. So the Vikings took on a little bit of money in that trade via signing bonus. It's just a quick rework of the contract before you send it so that some money stays here. I think that had to happen to facilitate the trade. The Browns also have to do some stuff on their end to facilitate the trade, but we're not Browns fans. I'm not going to bother figuring out what it is. But they took on like 1.17 mil or something like that. So a very, very small amount. Just a little bit extra to make the math work on the Browns end, which is ultimately not that bad. If they had just released Zadarius Smith, they would have taken like 5 mil in dead cap because of some money that guaranteed in March. So that's all fine. The draft compensation, the Vikings give up a 6th and a 7th in 2025. And they get back a 5th rounder this year and a 5th rounder in 2025. So it's like you take that 6 and 7 and turn it into a 5th rounder 2 years from now, and then add a 5th rounder on top of that. That's the draft compensation, basically, which if you put that into all the trade charts, depending on which one you use, amounts to like a late 4th all the way to like a mid 5th. So call it a high 5th, I guess. A high 5th rounder is about what you get. And that's assuming middling outcomes for both the Vikings and Browns those 2 years, which who knows, right? That's to put it in the middle by default. So yeah, you get like a 5th rounder for Zadarius Smith, but crucially, you get rid of about $11 million in cap. That's really the resource here. And I think a lot of people, like I say it all the time on my show, there's 2 kinds of currency. There's draft picks and there's cap space. And if you're paying a lot of one, you're probably not paying a lot of the other. And like national, it drives me nuts when I hear people on like NFL Network be like, how'd they get Calais Campbell for a 5th round pick? It's like, well, you got 1 year of Calais Campbell and he costs all his money. That's how, because you're just giving the contract to somebody else. But the So that's the reason the draft, like Zadarius Smith is not just a less valuable asset than Jaquelin Roy. That's not the case. But the real transaction is the Browns are taking on a whole bunch of money. The Vikings are sitting at about 13 million cap now. They've got like 45 mil next year. That is going to probably go up even more after whatever happens with Dalvin Cook happens. And then they'll be able to go onto their extensions in camp.
Again, your goal to transitions. I'm going to keep you for 2 more
Been
minutes.
doing this for a couple of years.
Dalvin, you're reading my mind, man. Dalvin Cook, man. It looks like we kind of did Zadarius Smith a good service and put him to a team where he's got, a bookend edge rusher and then pretty decent D tackle. So there's 2 guys apparently were on our team last year, or on our team last year.
Yeah,
that are going to be on that defensive line.
Taking the Donatel defense, I guess.
Right. Yeah. You can have it. No. Okay. But it looks like we're going to try to do the same thing with Dalvin Cook and put him off to pasture in a nice little home. Or is there still potential of, hey, working something out? It seems like we're treating it a little bit with kids' gloves. Maybe he respects that. I don't know. What do you feel is going on with Dalvin Cook?
The cat's been out of the bag a little bit that the Vikings are going to either trade him, or if they can't trade him, they're going to cut him. So it's going to be a similar thing where you get like a day 3 pick, someone takes on the contract, and they're essentially paying for the exclusive rights to Dalvin Cook where they don't have to deal with it in free agency. Play the evil to the east twice. Yeah, he came in, gave us a revenge game, and peaced out. Good job. We salute your service. Thank you, Zadarius. Good luck in Cleveland. You'll always have a friend here. You'll let me buy you a beer.
We'll always have opening weekend. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Break Aaron Rodgers' thumb, which I'm pretty sure he did, right? He did the hit that like screwed up Aaron Rodgers' whole season. He had to play through that thumb for like 4 weeks. And then the Packers started out like 2-6. But yeah, the Dalvin Cook situation, as I understand it, is he's not going to be a Viking. And I think everybody in the league pretty much knows that at this point. So never say never, of course, until it's not over till the fat lady sings, whatever cliche you want. But he's not going to be a Viking.
No.
Whether or not they can find a trade partner is interesting. And if not, then they'll just cut him, and they'll probably do it post-June, it sounds like. Save a little bit of money that way. But if they can find a trade partner, they send a little bit more money away than they would if they cut him, similarly to Zadarius Smith. But it's not much. It's like $2 million. And then I wonder what the holdup actually is. It might be something with, maybe the Vikings are trying to negotiate to take on a little bit of money to get a better draft pick or something like that. It might be that there are certain teams that would trade for Dalvin Cook but cannot. There's a lot of rumors with Miami, and I think it's out there publicly now, so I can say they had a deal almost done with Miami, but it has fallen through and talks have ceased. So there was that, but that probably would have had to wait till after June 1st because Miami made a post-June cut of Byron Jones, saving $13 million, but they actually don't get that cap space until after June 1st. So that they would need that space to actually take on Dalvin Cook's contract, which means the trade would have to wait till then. I think the ship has sailed there from what it sounds like, but I don't know any of this crap for sure. So who knows? But that is, I guess, the nature of the situation right now. There might be a trade that they're just waiting for June 1st so that the money works. Maybe they're staring at each other over a long negotiation. Maybe the Vikings are just kind of holding out hope. Maybe June 1st passes and everybody's cap situation changes. You make a couple phone calls, see if anyone's interested now. And then you go, and then they probably say, yeah, we aren't anyways, but you might as well wait and see. And then on June 3rd, you cut him. And then that's that.
Justin, you get a final question for him before I ask my final question?
Well, I guess for me, when I look ahead and I see the potential of $54 million worth of dead cap hits in 2024, do you think, and I know it's only a difference of $3.1 million, but if you're not going to be able to trade him for anything, would you not want to just get that extra 3.1 out of the way on 2023, or are they that strapped for cash in 2023?
They certainly are able to do either way. I don't think there's really huge merit either way. Like whatever they want, I guess. And they have like, if you ever talk to like Rob Brzezinski about it, or like I had a thing a few years ago, there was a scrum with Rick Spielman where he really described this, and he said like there's like a 3-year cap plan. They're not just kind of like winging it. And I think we think about that a lot. You go, well, what's better, 3 mil now or 3 mil next year or whatever? They've made that decision 2 years ago, what they want, whether they want, the 3 mil now or the 3 mil later. And they will make those adjustments as, certain surprises come up. Oh, we didn't think Zadarius Smith would want out or whatever. Like maybe that happens and they, make adjustments to that plan, but they have already made that decision. And it's just a matter of us waiting to find out what the decision was, or they already know their preference for it. Right.
Right.
But yeah, it's a drop in the bucket. A lot of that dead cap is Kirk Cousins. That's just going to be what happens when you get out of a sort of quarterback quagmire like that they've been in for the last 5 years. That's just kind of the cost of doing business. And while it feels bad to have all that dead cap, they still have like 45 mil in space. And even after you pencil in the extensions they have to make, they still have like 20 mil going into free agency. They'll have some roster holes and some stuff to do with that, but then they also have a lot of fungible money, restructurable money, guys that they can potentially get rid of or trade away or whatever. Like they can still, like the 2024 cap situation is not going to be a problem unless they add more guys to it that make it a problem. But theoretically, that would also mean adding players that help your team. So that's kind of how.
Yeah, I mean, you got 28.5 to Kirk, 11.2 to Hunter, 7.8 to Harrison Smith.
And that Hunter probably won't stay. I mean,
that was going to be my last, the second two part of that. My second part of the last question is, what do you think they're going to do with Danielle Hunter? And maybe that was days on.
I think that they are trying to extend him. We will see if they can come to a deal. Obviously, it takes two to tango. But they are, I believe it's been reported. I think Darren Wilson reported it on his show. They're trying. They're gonna try to negotiate something, figure something out with him. I don't think they're gonna make him play on a $4.9 million base salary. I think both sides understand that something's that they've got to figure out a way there.
In my final question, you mentioned free agency. Well, we still have free agency in 2023. When we move on from Cook, most likely, what do you estimate our cap space is? And if you were the GM, how would you spend it?
So that's a really hard one because I don't know the structure that they're going for with the extensions. If they like with the extensions of like Jefferson and Hawkinson and Hunter, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe even Ezra Cleveland, KJ Osborne. Those are the 5 guys that I'm kind of watching. And some of those will be more expensive than others, but they can structure those such that they push all the money into future years. They cannot do that. And they have, now they have 13 mil in space. They'll probably be closer to 20 mil, depending on what they do with Dalvin Cook. So they can, take on some of the burden of that. They don't have to push all the money into future years forever and ever and ever. But I don't know if they want to. Maybe they do want to push money into future years and then go sign like Jadeveon Clowney or something like that, right? That is all of that is an option, so it's really, really hard to answer. But I guess the answer is it's all on the table, and the Vikings can do whatever they want. If it were me, I would probably take on most of it. I would probably leave about 8 or 9 mil after you account for rookies and practice squad and all that stuff. You'd have like 8 or 9 mil in like true spending money. And then that leaves, I don't know, then you can go grab and maybe an interesting cornerback. Marcus Peters is out there. Frank Clark is out there. Maybe grab an interesting edge rusher or somebody. And maybe you go talk to the Jets and see what the price is on Quinnen Williams, right? That'd be a really spicy one.
Now you're talking my language.
I don't know if that's in the cards, but you get nothing wrong with the phone call.
I did a little short video yesterday. I'm just like, if Quinnen Williams is really... if the Jets were spending all that time to get Aaron Rodgers and they're going to leave an all-pro guy on the last year of his rookie deal and not make him happy, I'm happy to make some phone calls. But that's just me. I know he's a better fit. I know he's a little bit of a better fit for a 4-3 than a 3-4, but I don't care. He's an all-pro.
That's not a big deal. Yeah.
You're good for 2 more hours, right?
Starting right now.
You're good for 2 more hours, right? But hey,
probably
thanks,
not.
Luke, Thanks for coming on, Luke.
Absolutely,
man.
Luke.
I appreciate it. Pleasure as usual. I'll try to talk to you in another 3 months. See where you're at, man. I appreciate it. Make sure you go to Locked On Vikings, Luke Braun. All right, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Luke.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings. Pleasure as usual. He's full of knowledge, easy to talk to. Just all about the Vikings. And he is no longer writing. He's full-time.
And he broke that news on Under the Lights, ladies and gentlemen.
We broke the news. He is no longer a writer. He's a YouTuber full-time now, I think. I don't know. I don't know what he does. I don't know what his alter ego is, but Bunny Farmer, I don't know. He has a few of those.
Right. Hey, real quick, I'll catch us up here. So Dave Stefano was in the house. Scold Your Soup. What's going on? Yes, Billings, it was Skull Zones. I remember now. Thank you kindly for reminding me of that. Skull for Life is in the building. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. If you didn't already do so, hit them like buttons on the way in. And if you only subscribe to one channel, please consider subscribing to the other. Oh, there's Dave. He's back. There he is. All righty. What's up, y'all? Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Put it in the comment section. Throw dealer's choice for at least one. Everybody throw a topic out there. What do you want to talk about? Except there's one exception to this dealer's choice, and you already know what it is, so I'm not even going to say it. But in all seriousness, do you think that we got ripped off in the Zadarius Smith deal? Because I don't. I think people are overreacting to Zadarius Smith. For all intents and purposes, he signed a 1-year prove-it deal that had 2 extra years of funny money on the back end. And yes, he was probably under the impression that if he did very, very well, that he'd get a raise. And the Vikings said, well, you did well for the first half of the year, so the number that we have you slated for is relatively fair. And you had a guy who didn't want to be here, and the fact that you got rid of that salary cap space and you got rid of his 20-some million next year, plus a couple of draft swaps, I thought it was fine. What do you guys think? Or what do you think, Dave? Excuse me.
Before I answer, let me give some shouts to McAndrews.
McAndrews,
man. Love Krigar. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Scold Your Soup, awesome. And that's all the people that just popped in. You guys are chatting. We almost got to 30 people that I saw. We had up to like 29. So it was a big night. Got a lot of listeners. That's awesome. Keep it up. Now, for me, I wasn't the longer it went, and the fact that I know he was going to be a 1-year rental potentially, that we won't get a lot of money out of him. He's already sold his house. He says he's wanted to get traded. I think we probably went to a team that was friendly with us and would actually give us some value because of Kwesi's ties to Cleveland. So it made sense. I did like that we got an extra 5th next year and we upgraded our picks the following year. But that 5th for next year is great. I think we got 3 now, don't we? Because we got.
I'll look it up.
I think we got 3 5ths now. Unless it's no, I don't think the Jalen is. We got some problem with Jalen Reagor still. That maybe that's a 5th.
I think we might still owe Philly that one more. You might be right on that. I'll see if I can find. See if I can look it up here real quick. What's up, NFL? What's up, Jim? NFL. Good to see you. I always love his first one. It's not NFL season. Why are you guys talking? Thank you for the obligatory comments. We appreciate you.
There's a free agent out there that nobody's talking about that got into some trouble and turns out was wrongly accused.
Oh, the punter guy?
The punter, is it
I know what you're talking about.
Asiata? He's a punt god. He was with the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
It turns out he wasn't even there at the time
exactly.
The shit happened.
It's
and
totally
the guy kept quiet, took his lumps, was going to go kick in Tijuana, for heaven's sake. If you ever have a chance, go watch Microphone. He does a whole 22-minute video on apologizing to him because he was one of the guys that really led the cause to cancel this dude. So he stood up and said, hey, he apologized. But I think Ariata, what's his name? God dang it. Go figure I bring something up and I don't know the guys' names.
Well, according to one site, according to
Ariaza.
Yeah, okay. They have their
Matt
first
Araiza. Matt Araiza. That's his name.
They have their first, their second. They have the Lions fourth. They have either their fifth or their fourth or their fifth, depending on the Rager situation. Well, they have the Browns fifth, the Chiefs fifth, and they have their own sixth. So that's right. We don't have our third because that goes to the Lions as the last part of the TJ Hawkinson deal. And they will either have a fourth or a fifth, depending on the Rager. But yes, they have the Browns fifth, they have the Chiefs fifth, and then they have their own sixth. So a decent sized draft. Decent.
Luft
Anyway.
Krieger. Luft Krieger. I'm still saying it terrible. Luft Krieger. All right.
I always wanted to know, Dave. I never bothered asking. I was just like, okay, there's something for it. But all right, it means air warrior in Norse. All right, I'm with you.
That's awesome. Braun social media remind me of the quarterback quote and tucked on purple. Yeah, I was. He had me really hyped. Honestly,
he was a mercenary.
Good word. He was a bot player to come in and to do revenge on, and we had a mutual thing where we both hated the Packers, so that worked out. Unfortunately, our defense was so bad that it didn't matter, and he fell off the second half. I wish him well, but if a guy doesn't want to be here, good riddance. I was the same way with Percy Harvin.
Yeah,
I don't miss him. I don't miss Diggs. I mean, I liked him when he was here. Fond memories, one of the biggest moments, but he's gone somewhere else. And he wanted to be gone somewhere else.
And that's his right. I mean, it's called a marriage of convenience. And usually marriages of convenience are short-lived, to say the least. So
I mean, I probably have a different opinion of the receiver we just lost this year, because we weren't going to keep him for $19 million. Diggs was not a money issue. Percy Harvin was not a money issue. So yeah. So I got a little different opinions. I think remember when they threw batteries at Chuck Knobloch in the outfield?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, he left for more money. So that Minnesotans have a thing about people leaving for more money. Oh, and Gary Gaetti too. So.
I mean, the thing about Chuck is he's the kind of guy. He's a petulant piece of whatever. And when he's on your team and he's bugging the crap out of everybody, all your opponents, you tolerate it. But the second he's not on your team anymore, you take the filter off, and it's just like, okay, this guy is who he is. And from day one, I mean, do you have that video cassette of the 1 hour special of the 91 World Series? I mean, we all had that, as a lot of us had that, in my high school days. But even just during that documentary,
you didn't have a store in my hometown.
Oh, all right, fair enough. You could just tell that the guy was entitled. The guy was a brat. The guy was a diva. I mean, whatever. I don't know the guy from Adam. I'm just going off of how he acted when he was in the spotlight. And by the way, went to the New York Yankees. So of course we're not gonna have any love for him at that point. But to your point, getting back to people who leave and we don't care. You know what? Got nothing but love for Adam Thielen. In my goodbye video, I said we'll root from you afar like we did for KG, as long as you don't go to the Green Bay Packers. Other than that, we don't care. So go have fun in Carolina. And you know what?
I mean, I put Diggs on my fantasy team. I mean, I have nothing against him. I'm just like, he moved on, but I'm not gonna like look to the box score to see if he had a good day. I might actually look for the box score to see if Thielen had a good day, because I want that guy to succeed.
Yeah.
Just the story where he came from, as far as what he was thought of as a player coming in the league. So yeah.
And
Zadarius Smith, bye. Yes. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Hey, it was fun. You know what? We had a common enemy in the Green Bay Packers. Hey, you can be on our team, and if you feel you've got Green Bay, I mean, again, it's a decent deal for him. He took a little bit less money, but he's got more money guaranteed. And by the way, he hits free agency after this season, whereas he wouldn't have been hitting free agency if he had stayed with us. So at the end of it, if you had cut him, you would have taken on the same amount of dead money, or maybe even a little bit more. So the fact that because if they had traded him straight up, they would have had a dead cap hit of $3 2/3 million, and now it's $4.5 million. Big deal. That's nothing. Yeah. And it also wipes out any dead cap hits as well as a salary from next year's books. So I'm fine with this deal. I really am. I don't know why people are so like, oh, we should have got a second round pick for Zadarius Smith. Yeah, and we're gonna get a third round pick for Dalvin Cook too. Yeah, okay, no, it doesn't work that way.
I think talent wise, they're looking at the talent, not the contract situation, and the happiness of the player is. It was nice that like a Diggs stayed quiet to allow us to get a big haul for him.
Right,
That was
I'll give
good.
you that. Yeah.
Zadarius Smith not so much, because he just opened that can of worms at the beginning. Yeah, it's just yeah. So it's a different situation, and even Percy Harvin allowed us to trade his ass and get a haul for it because we have first round picks for those guys. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Consider neither of them wanted to be there, and I guess I give them credit for not just being dicks about it. And Diggs worked out for the other team. Percy Harvin didn't.
Well, he made it pretty. I mean, for that 1 year in Seattle, winning the Super Bowl. I mean, was he the main cog? No, but he was a decent, third wheel kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Doesn't hurt. I mean, I get what you're saying. He's nowhere near what Diggs has ended up being for Buffalo. I definitely agree with you there. I would say, you know what? Seattle won a Super Bowl, and he contributed a little. He contributed in the playoffs. I think he didn't contribute much in the regular season. You're right, but he had a couple big plays in the playoff games, I suppose. I hate how we always sign trash passer rejects. Yes, Skull Zone. I'm with you. Outside of Ryan Longwell, that's the only Packer that, I didn't really – no, screw Brett Favre. Bleep Brett Favre.
All right.
No. Okay, fine. Real quick, here's what it is. I never wanted Brett Favre. Never wanted him. I don't care that he was better than Tavares Jackson and Sage Rosenfels. We just won the division the year previous without him. Yes. Did he make us better? Yes. Did I know he was going to make us better? Yes. But I wish I had the recording. I actually called into K-Fan the day he was signed. And Phil Mackey and Corey Cove were doing late night that night. This is, this many years ago. And I said, here's what's going to happen. We're going to win in the division, and Favre's going to be the main cog. We're going to get to the NFC Championship game, and we're going to lose, and Favre's going to do something stupid to cost us the game at the end. And I wish I had that recording because I said it the day he signed. And I said, you know what? It's going to be fun. And yes, I enjoyed the hell out of beating the Packers twice. Enjoyed the hell out of beating the snot out of the Cowboys in the divisional round of the playoffs. But nothing short of a Super Bowl victory was going to make that season worth it to have Brett Favre on our team. I mean, again, I grew up watching Brett Favre in his prime with Mike Holmgren win Super Bowls for the Packers. The Packers were absolutely awful before Favre got there. They were trash before Favre got there. And having to listen to high school buddies and college buddies go on and on. Oh, I hated the guy. No, I didn't want him there. So that's my Favre rant. No, I don't want Rodgers in 2 years, Davey Chains. I knew somebody was going to go there, so I'll just say it right now. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have the same disdain for Favre as I do Rodgers. So, I mean, I kind of like when his father died, he went out and had like the game of his life the same day. It's like crazy. And, I don't think he was particularly one of the greats because who leads the entire league in all-time interceptions? And you can consider one of the all-time greats. It's just like he had these special miracle moments, throughout his career of comebacks or big plays and things like that. And then he did it with us, won an SB, it's like against San Francisco that game. And that's where we really took off. So, I mean, I have absolutely no, as a football player, disdain for him. I had kind of treated him like Derek Jeter, where I hated the Yankees, but I respected Derek Jeter. That's the kind of way I felt about. I mean, we had a history of getting guys like Jim McMahon and Warren Moon and, getting these other players out there. And Jim McMahon of the Bears, what kind of, who, I guess maybe it was the 85 thing and you're a kid, you might like him because of the video and the shuffle and shit. But yeah. And then he was on the movie Johnny Be Good, and it was, you kind of liked him. But anyways, we've got a history of, I don't hate to say his name, but Darren Sharper was pretty good. Probably would have been a Hall of Famer. I think he was that good. But and then he went on to the Saints, and then now we hate him because of what he did in the Bounty Gate, and then he goes on to be, do what he did. Now he's in prison for a long time. But yeah, I don't know. We didn't have really bad players from the Packers, though.
Well,
I don't think we got this Lowry. Is it Lowry? I think he's an all right player. I think.
Oh, you're talking about now. I thought you were talking about.
No, I mean in the past too. I don't think we've gotten anybody bad.
Yeah, Robert Ferguson was absolutely nothing. Greg Jennings ended up being not a whole lot.
He was solid, though. He wasn't our number one receiver that we needed, but he was solid. I don't know.
I agree with Billings. Total cancer. I want nothing to do with that guy. Yeah, Longwell we like. We like Longwell.
Rogers. Yeah.
Longwell.
Yeah, Longwell was great, and I seen him get interviewed a couple times last year. Or he got interviewed by the Happy Hour.
Yeah, Climb in the Pocket with Matt and company.
Matt interviewed him, and he had a wealth of knowledge. And he actually reached out to the Vikings about Carlson, and they didn't return it. Didn't return his call.
There's a
he
shock.
says, "Don't." He said he told some people he knew in the Vikings organization, says, "Don't get rid of this kid. Let me talk. Talk to somebody." Says a decision's been made, man. I'm like, no shit. It's crazy that Longwell was gonna swoop in and save us to have like potentially one of the best kickers, potentially ever. Still a young guy, but that's crazy.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Yeah, good job.
What was
this? You're right.
Like, regime getting young players, not old ass veterans. Yes. Yeah, we did take a younger turn this year, which I like. I really do. Who's someone say something about Ponder? Oh yeah,
Jennings
would have been better with a better. Jennings would have been better with a better QB. Ponder sucked. Yeah, you could say that.
I actually think Jennings was actually pretty good with Teddy, and I know that he has that reputation of not doing a whole lot. 14 touchdowns, interception, whatever. But at the same time, Jennings was solid with Teddy, but at that particular point in time, it was already past. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was fun.
She says at the beginning, I think she changed her mind. It was kind of funny watching people with Viking, half Packer,
jerseys,
and I even saw a triple one with the Jets. That was kind of neat. And then like Target put out the McFarlane set of Brett Favre and his 3 jerseys that they sold at Target, which was interesting. I tried to get that.
I saw one that actually had all 4. That actually had Atlanta in there too.
4. Yeah, I had 4. My bad. Yeah, I forgot about Atlanta.
Billings, what you talking about, Tebow? What do you mean?
Tebow lit up our defense.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. Percy Harfin had like 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we still lost that game. That was ridiculous. Nothing can hurt me now because Ponder was my quarterback. Good one drop shot. All right, there you go. Well, what do you think about? I mean, we talked about it a little bit, Luke, but I just want this Dalvin Cook situation to be resolved. I'm just kind of like sick of hearing about it. Thanks for joining us, Dave. Appreciate it. We'll tune in tomorrow night for you and Tyler. And if you guys didn't see my episode last night with Tyler and Dave that I was on, go check out Vikings First and Scold. I got to sit in with Tyler and Dave last night. Had a really good conversation. It was fun doing a show with those guys. And if you don't already subscribe to them, subscribe there as well. But getting back, I just want this Dalvin Cook situation to be done and dealt with. Whether you cut him and I criticize you for not getting anything in return, or whether you trade him for a 6th-round pick and I say the same thing I said about Za'Darius, which is, all right, you got something for him and you got rid of and you got some more salary cap space, fine. I don't care. I'm just so tired of, Kevin O'Connell. I'm really looking forward to having Dalvin here. And Pelissero's like, well, I could see him still being there. And Rossini saying that, nope, it's all but done. And now I didn't realize that. I mean, we had talked about the speculation to the Dolphins, but I didn't realize that they kind of had a deal done that kind of fell through. I didn't know about that until Luke said, I just want this thing to be done. What say you about Dalvin? I mean, outside of him taking a pay cut, I don't see any way he's back. Do you?
That would be the only way.
Yeah.
And, for me, it was like, what would be the worst if we kept him? We'd have a really good running back and a lot of depth. We'd probably have to let a pretty good player go, with the running back group we have. So that kind of sucks. So you're basically going to keep him for 1 year, if you do let him play out that. We totally could afford him if we didn't do anything else. So it's not that. I think it's either the extensions we're wanting to do, which I don't think affect this year, really. So
yeah, well, sometimes it can, because then you have some extra move that you can put into this year. Like, okay, right now they got $11 million in cap space. Let's say they pulled off a trade and they bumped that up to 18 million in cap space. Well, then yeah, when you do a TJ Hawkinson deal or anybody, Justin Jefferson, whatever, if you've got room to put some of that money into this year, let's just say 3 million of it for rough numbers. If you can get 3 million in this year's cap, well, that's 3 more million that you'll have down the road versus not doing it. I'm going to take it back to something you've said a couple of times. If we're going to misuse running backs, I'd rather misuse a cheap running back than an expensive one.
But if we do something with that money, if we can do something with that money, I really, I want a freaking D tackle that causes mayhem, and I think that will go a long way in fixing this defense. I don't like to have to manufacture pressure all the time.
Correct.
And it was really good when we did have that freaking dominant nose tackle. And that's what I want again, man. That's what I want. I want someone that could push the pocket. You don't have to get out of the quarterback, but he has to make it so the guy can't step up every single play like he did last year. I like Harrison Phillips, but he's not that guy. And
we don't have that guy. We don't.
Yeah, we don't have him. And, I thought we might potentially have a Tomlinson, but we played him at DN. He wasn't that guy either, but he was the best D lineman we had. Interior D lineman, but
I'll say again, and when the show's over, ladies and gentlemen, after you hit the like buttons on the way out and hit the subscribe buttons, if you don't subscribe to both channels, go to my channel and look at my video I did yesterday about Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams was taken in the 2019 draft, number 3 by the Jets. So he's taken the same year TJ Hawkinson was. So he's got the same contract situation. He's on the last year of his rookie deal, the 5th-year option. His option is $10 million. I think TJ's is like 8.5, something like that. But anyway, for whatever reason, the Jets have not given him his long-term extension. He saw the guy from the Giants, the Lawrence Cat, the guy from Washington, Jerron Payne. Those guys got big deals, and the Jets, for whatever reason, and I don't know if they're trying to save money to bring in more of Rodgers' buddies to kowtow to their new toy. I don't know. All I know is that if I'm Kwesi, I'm on the phone with the Jets saying, all right, what's it going to take to get this guy? And, last night Tyler did point out that he's a Kevin Williams. He's not a Pat Williams. He's not a Jerry Ball. He's not a guy that you'd want as your nose tackle in a 3-4. He would be much better as an under tackle in a 4-3. And all that is very well and probably true. I'll trust Tyler's opinion on most things above mine. But to me, he's too good a talent, and he would be such an upgrade over what we have. I know it's going to cost you, probably a 2nd-round pick or maybe even a 1st-round pick, but I'd at least explore that option because, he had 12 sacks as a defensive tackle last year. 12. When's the last time we had 12 sacks combined from our interior pass rush? I think you have to go 2, maybe 3 seasons and count them all up to even get to 12. But I'm with you. Get a defensive tackle that can hold the fort so that we're just not having guys run up the middle all the time or get no pressure up the middle on the quarterback all the time. I'm with you. Defensive tackle would be my highest priority right now.
For sure, man. For sure. Tell me, what did you, I think you were half kidding the time we were doing our schedule prediction. What did you end up with?
Yeah. I'm surprised that after 7 losses in a row that you guys didn't pick up that I was being sarcastic with it. But yes, I ended up with 10-7, maybe 11-6.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic, especially with, honestly, our schedule is not that tough. People are freaking out because we got to play Cincinnati, Kansas City, and the Eagles, but really our own division's not that tough, and some of the teams that we play are in where we play them, and the fact that we're playing some of the away games early, so we're not going to have as many weather issues.
I'll say this: the first 7 weeks is daunting.
Yeah, that's
because you
what
got
I've
3
said.
out of the
Yeah.
4 big guns in those first 7 weeks. Thanks, Mary. Appreciate it. If you can get to week 7 going into Green Bay at 4-3, that is not going to blow the doors off anybody. But if that's about where you got to start, because if you're 3-4 going into Green Bay, yeah, okay, fine. So you beat Green Bay, you get to 500 through the first half of the season. Yeah, all right, let's just go through the schedule, and I'll just do rapid fire here. I think we lose to Philly. I think we lose to Kansas City. I have us losing to San Francisco. I have us losing to Cincinnati. Nothing earth-shattering about that. I think that the one loss that we have on the schedule every year there's a loss on the schedule that we think is a win and should be a win, but it's the Vikings, and that's the Denver game. That game is the game that I think we're going to drop. So that's 5 losses.
Yeah, that was the game I picked out as a game that we should win, but we lose.
Exactly. So I'm with you on that. And then other than that, I mean, again, I'm not going to say that they're going to go 0-4 against the big guns and 13-0 against the rest of the teams. You've got a coin flip game against the Chargers. I think they should win, but that's a coin flip game. In Chicago, even though it's not in the middle of December, I agree. Thank you for finally letting us go to Chicago and Green Bay before Halloween for a change and not be playing in the cold. But are we realistically going to tell ourselves, oh, we absolutely are going to go 4-0 against the Packers and Bears? We should. Yes, we should. But it's the Vikings in Chicago. And I'm just going to say it like that. So that's a possible one that I think, I can't count that as a win. The rest of the games, though, you should go 4-0 against the NFC South, no question. I mean, who do you like in that division? The answer is nobody. One of those teams is going to make the playoffs out of default. Tampa Bay is going to be terrible. New Orleans, maybe. Carolina, sorry. Love you, Thielen, but no. Who did I miss? Atlanta, no. So you should go 4-0 there. You should beat the Vegas Raiders, no question. And you should probably account for a split with the Lions. As much as ridiculous as that sounds, because normally it's the Packers we say that about. All right, let's sweep the Bears, Lions, and split with the Packers. And okay, fine. But so I figure they're going to lose probably, 6 games, maybe 7. They shouldn't win any fewer than 10 games. I'll be disappointed if they lose, if they win fewer than 10 games. I'll be disappointed.
Here's a good question. If they were playing backup QBs, of course we'll lose to a backup QB.
Oh, yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
I think I might switch some of our losses if we I have a sweep in the Bears, but if they start a backup QB, we're going 0-2. So that's how it's going to work.
They'll beat them at home no matter who it is.
I do. I think it was Sarah that said she's not afraid of Kansas City. I'm not afraid of Kansas City just because the offensive personnel isn't there and we're at home. But I think, I think we can play them tough. I don't doubt that if it goes our way, if things go our way, we could pull out a win there. I have us beating San Francisco just because of the quarterback situation. It's still early. They don't. I can't see how I can pick a team not knowing who's going to be, who their quarterback situation and their 3 choices aren't that great. So
even without, I'll say it like this: even no matter which quarterback they have, they're still a better team than us. But I will say this though. Of the big 4, Kansas City, Philly, Cincinnati, and San Francisco, I will agree that San Francisco, to me, is the one that is the most – if they're going to win one of those 4, that's the most likely one. A, it's at home. And B, like you said, they have question marks, but their offensive line is so stacked. Their defensive line is so stacked. And ours – say what you want about the NFL. It's still about the trenches. Okay, anytime we go up against a team like Philly, San Francisco, Dallas that has good offensive and defensive lines, we can talk about Kirk Cousins till we're blue in the face. We can talk about Justin Jefferson, adding Addison. To me, I'll say San Francisco is the most likely of the 4 that we could pull an upset, but I as of right now, I still got to pick San Francisco. But we'll see. We don't play the games on paper, and it's May 16, so none of this really is anything other than, reckless speculation, as they say. But no, I think they can win 10 or 11 games. hopefully the defense will be improved. I'm going to kind of balk at some of the comments that I've heard from other content creators, not necessarily you, but it's good to catch Philly on a short week in week 2 because they have a new offensive coordinator and a new defense. We got a new defensive coordinator too, and they're still better than us. I'm kind of sick of going to Philly. I know that it's not a conspiracy. It's one of those rotational things and all that good stuff, kind of like we used to always have to go to Seattle. But I don't know. Do you think we have much of a shot against Philly? Or
I mean, sure, we can have a shot. I don't know though, but the one thing they don't have on us is like we'll have a book on our defense because it's gonna be completely different.
We'll see.
I think we add another weapon with Addison, so we're a different team. I feel like we're going in. We have more firepower on offense, and we got a new defense that's going to be a lot more aggressive than that shit we put out there last year in Philly the first half. And they took their foot off their gas. They took their foot off the gas with us. They could have scored at will against us the second half.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's kind of what was frustrating about it is that, yeah, we had that block field goal and brought it back to the red zone and got nothing out of it. Had another red zone interception of, miscommunication between Cousins and Jefferson, so to speak. And, and you had that drop touchdown by Irv Smith Jr. And I'm not going to say that if, you flip those 3 instances that they win that game. That's as ridiculous as saying that if Watson.
It's not a blowout.
It's not a blowout.
It's not a holy shit, look how bad they were.
Right.
It was more like, hey, they put up a fight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mind optimism, but it's like, well, okay, are we going to say that if Watson didn't drop that pass in week 1 against Green Bay, that Green Bay would have beat us? No, it would have changed the game. But
with my pessimism, yeah, they probably would. They probably would.
Well, I like to try to be consistent. It's like I'm not going to give that game to Green Bay based on 1 catch, and I'm not going to give the game to us based on 1 drop by Irv Smith either. But all right, Bob. Bob's got him 17-0. He says he can honestly say, hey, shout out Skull for Life. I don't know if I said you earlier. If I did, well, double trouble, no problem. But if I didn't, thanks for
I'm
joining.
not seeing these people. You're oh, there you go. Yeah, mine's just slower.
Oh, okay. I think we have a chance. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. Slim, yes.
But because of the way and another thing I like about this is because of the way it is with the Eagles and the Cowboys being in the same division.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can beat a San Francisco, they don't figure out their quarterback situation. We're a 2 seed, man. I don't see us not being a 2 seed if we keep the San Francisco and the Lion. If we win our division and we handle San Francisco, we're just deadlock at 2 for sure. Which obviously we got to play the games and win them. But on just looking at our team, looking at the NFC landscape, it's like you're not worried about Tampa. You're not really worried about Carolina. A rookie quarterback's a rookie quarterback, or you got Dalton. Are the Saints there yet? Like you said, the South isn't intimidating. So basically, if we won those 11 games, and we beat San Francisco and they won 11 games, we're the 2 seed. So I think that could happen. We could still be a 2 seed and have won 11 games. It was crazy last year that we win 13 and we're the 3rd seed. That's insane that we didn't get the 2 seed with 13 wins. It's just crazy to think that happened. You think you win 13 games, you probably might got the 1st seed, but here we are sitting with the 3rd seed. So I think there's a group of NFL teams in the NFC, and then there's just everybody else. And I think we're in that group that's up here. And I feel good about it. It gives us a chance. And I talked to you about window. That's what I mean by window is this is an opportunity to take advantage of a small field, I think. And the fact that the NFC East has the tougher competition in it, but only one can come out as a home field advantage game. So,
well, here's how I would rank the NFC right now. I'll go Philly number 1. I'm still putting San Francisco 2 until shown otherwise. Maybe I'll
keep in mind we're playing them at home. So
yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying in the pantheon of if I'm ranking teams, I'm ranking San Francisco 2. I'm ranking Dallas 3. and I have a virtual tie with the Vikings and the Seahawks at 4-5. I think Seattle is going to have something to say. They just drafted another wide receiver as well to give Geno Smith another weapon, and I know Geno Smith, just had his best season of his career, and he's kind of got some of the same things going on that we like to talk about, being in the same system, same play caller for the second year in a row, added a wide receiver. Their defense is better than ours. I'm not going to say that Seattle's definitively better than us, but I'm also going to say that I think those two teams are pretty well stacked together. I'm not buying Detroit. I mean, I think Detroit's going to be good. I think Detroit's going to vie for a playoff spot. I do. But I don't think that they're going to vie for the division, but they match up well with us. So to your point about, pathway, in December and January, yeah, Philly, unless they fall completely on their face, will definitely be the 1 seed. And yeah, if you can win 11 games and one of those games is against San Francisco, okay, yeah, San Francisco's got to find 5 other losses. I'll give them at least 1 to Seattle. I know they beat them pretty handily in the wild card game last year, but in the 2 regular season games, they weren't blowouts by any stretch of the means. But you're right. The South is meaningless. You got the Cowboys is a team that's going to make the playoffs, Seattle, and I think Detroit. I think those are my 7 playoff teams as we speak. I think the Giants are going to be that one team that made the playoffs this year that's not going to make the playoffs next year. Outside, Tampa Bay too, but that's a divisional thing more than anything else. But we'll see. I mean, you're right. Let's say the quarterback situation in San Francisco doesn't get worked out. Yeah. Coming into that game when we're actually picking a week at a time, and we've seen that the quarterback isn't as plug and play as it has been with Shanahan, and maybe their defense is still good but is not great, then yeah, I could conceivably say, all right, yeah, I'm switching my pick as we go into the week. Like I said, that's why I think that's the gettable one. I don't see Philly as gettable. I don't see Kansas City as gettable, and I don't see Cincinnati in December as gettable. Could I see San Francisco? Sure. But having said all that, if I have to listen to one more Bears fan try and talk smack, the Lions shouldn't even be talking smack right now, but at least they had a good second half of the year. What is with these Bear fans right now? Is it just me, or are you seeing this too? Because I'm just bewildered how they could be talking this much smack when they haven't done anything in years. What say you?
I just don't see it.
I don't either.
I don't see it like you do. Like you're seeing, you're watching more YouTube than me. But yeah, I have seen some tweets every once in a while about King of the North and shit. So
yeah, stop it.
Yeah, I couldn't see them flipping the script like that quickly. I am a little more worried about the Lions, let's say, than I would like to be.
Yeah.
But I just think we're a better team, and we throw in a better defense. They kept their same, if I'm not mistaken, they actually extended their defensive coordinator, and theirs was pretty bad too. I just feel like we got. I just love the fact that we got the new defensive coordinator, and I think we've made some smart moves on personnel wise for defense. We don't have to have the huge $20 million talent on the edge or anything to be a better defense. We could just get the right fits and put people in the right situation. I just think we're better for that. Now, how much better? Who knows? But hey, I think we're going to score more points, and I think that helps right there because Addison can do the mid, all 3 levels of receiving. So I think we're just more depth in talent because of that. I don't see Seattle. I mean, I would have thought we'd beat Seattle if we would have played them last year. I think I don't see us exactly tied like you do, but I could see how you would think it's close. Because they did pick it up at the end of the mid-season. They really picked it up in the mid-season. They had that surprise one against Denver to begin the season. That was cool. That was actually pretty funny. But yeah, I could see them being, but their situation, they're in this, in the same division as San Francisco. So it's like, yeah, they're not coming out of that. So I still think, hey, 2 worst case 3rd seed.
Oh yes,
I would be
well,
disappointed. I'd be disappointed beyond that. I'd really be disappointed beyond that.
I'll say this. Obviously, you don't go into it with this mentality, but there's an argument to be made. Just like last year, the 5th seed was a better path than the 3 seed was. Now, part of that is because of our defense being so bad, but consider what's a better wild card round matchup, a home game against a good wild card team or a road game against a bad division winner of the South?
I remember when you went after me about me saying the better path to the playoffs if we didn't have to play both the Cowboys and what did I say? Both the Cowboys and the Eagles. Remember that when I did a video on about being the 3rd seed.
If I recall correctly, there was still an opportunity to get the 1 seed and the bye, and that was the crux of my argument was I'll take a week off because anything can happen wild card weekend. So I get where
Well, I'm just saying, but my point was they keep winning. We don't get there. And if we did lose, well, hey, the point the consolation prize is that we don't have to play both the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? That was, I think, my point at the time.
Well, if we had kept winning, we would have got Seattle instead of New York. I don't know. It's all a bunch of what.
And they had a game plan against us for sure.
Yeah.
It was called just throw the ball where in the open to the
throw the ball in the middle
receiver.
Of the field, which is wide.
Throw to the wide ass open receiver.
Hey, real quick, shout out Dr. Proto. I know Dave got you, but I see you in there. Well, thanks for coming. I know you said you was late, but hey, that's all right. That's why it's on demand. That's
cool. And I decided to stay on a few more minutes. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I was about to say we're gonna wrap.
We're staying on a few more minutes. I saw some people jump on, so I was like, let's keep talking.
Yep.
Lions draft top 10 every damn year, and they can't even put the season together to win the division. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think everybody's like sold on the Lions because it's like same old Lions. Even when they were good, they still didn't win the division. They beat us twice though. That was terrible. I remember where I was when that happened.
I don't either. I think I wanted to forget.
Yeah, let's. How long do you got here? Good night. Oh, hey, see you, Sarah. What's up, fellas? Yeah, I'm thinking about. Sarah brought up about. We brought up about giving out cards, and then I don't do that, but thinking about getting Minnesota Sports Talk or School World patches, that kind of thing, or maybe getting all one for each show, kind of thing, and give those out. That'd be kind of fun. And all I have to do is put them in a freaking envelope and put a stamp on it. It should be cheap.
We're
great show. Thanks. We're 80-41 against the Lions. That is ridiculous how bad the Lions are historically.
2-to-1 ratio.
It's almost like the Timberwolves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on those fools.
Oh,
God. Oh gosh.
I wish I stayed a Bulls fan. I appreciate it. Hey, I think it's a good place to end the show, guys. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, there was a comment in there, and I was going to say no. We're not talking about Kirk Cousins tonight, ladies and gentlemen. No. That's been played out.
If you have a chance, you've joined late. Make sure you go watch the beginning of the show where we had Luke Braun.
Yes, he was outstanding.
Spinning gold for us for 40 minutes. It was awesome. Go check it out. A lot of good information there, as always. Richard D, thanks for showing up. But hey, go back and look at the show. Make sure you hit like on the way out on both our channels. Just go flip it over to his, flip it over to mine, and go hit like just so we get some love in the YouTube algorithms. Help me Hulk smash the YouTube algorithms. All right, guys.
Do you know Richard? Hey, real quick, Richard D. Do you know Richard? Have you seen Richard before? The one you have up there. Have you seen him before?
Richard D. Yeah, I actually met him.
Oh, you did? Oh, sweet.
He sold me my car.
Now it's starting to come together. All right.
Yeah, Richard D. I didn't put two and two together. Thanks for showing up, man. Yeah, he just if this is the same guy, he sold me my car this weekend.
There you go. Well, thanks.
Give it back, by the way. Give it back, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him. Hello.
That is all right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I know you joined us right at the end, but that's the great thing about YouTube is you can just hit the rewind button right away and watch from the beginning. And like you said, if you don't already subscribe to Minnesota Sports Talk and you're watching on Purple and Gopher Days, hit that subscribe button. I'm Mike a Patriot, and vice versa. If you don't subscribe to Purple and Gopher Days, please hit me up. I'm almost at 600, ladies and gentlemen. I just need about 15 more to get to 600. I'd like to get that way before the end of the month of May. And of course, check out our guest tonight, Luke Braun. That's on Locked On Vikings podcast. It is in the description of my video, and it might be up at the top of the chat as well. But thanks everybody for joining us. Skol Vikes. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Good night.